What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. You know, WandaVision has been very different than the rest of the MCU for a lot of reasons, not just because it's a TV series on Disney+. When you think back to the entirety of the Infinity Saga, and most of the time, the audience was brought up to speed rather quickly on who the adversary or foe was that stood before our superheroes, and very generally, if there was some mystery as to what was going on with Winter Soldier or with Thanos, it was revealed over time, and at least to the audience first, so we would know what was going on even when our superheroes didn't. But with this show, it's been the exact opposite, left to ask the same questions they've been asking inside the S.W.O.R.D base, and really not giving us any reveals when they do, only asking a ton more questions. One of which, and a point of contention over the last couple of weeks, has been the identity of this aerospace engineer, and last week when Monica Rambeau referred to him as a he, it allowed us to push this theory a lot further along. And no, I don't mean to imply that she's going to meet up with John Krasinski or any iteration of Reed Richards in the MCU, rather a future member of the X-Men and known S.W.O.R.D affiliate, Dr. Hank McCoy, also known as Beast. There's actually a ton of comic book precedent for this, exactly where we're at right now in Wanda's story, and some proof in the way of industry insider reports from the last year. We're going to break down this entire theory that Hank McCoy is who she's going to meet up on that ridge, how he plays into this storyline, and what his future will be in the MCU. We're going to break it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 800,000 subscribers, which we should hit in the next month or two, as well as Disney Plus subscriptions throughout the year. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So real quickly, light spoiler warning. Again, this is just a personal theory. There's no real leak here, but we are going to cover an industry insider report from last year. And again, if you guys don't want to know this kind of stuff for the series, only you know yourself, then you might want to back out now. If you haven't seen any of the theories over the last 2 or 3 weeks as to who this aerospace engineer could be, there have been a ton, and one that's constantly been pointed to was the introduction of Reed Richards into the MCU, because we know that they're working on the Fantastic Four. But I think it should be pointed out that when they referenced the disappeared astronauts in the earlier part of WandaVision, I think they were more than likely talking about the Fantastic Four, and of course they can't be vanished on an aerospace mission and also be back helping Monica Rambeau during this. So it's got to be one or the other, and I have my inclination, I think a lot of people can agree, that there's a good chance right now the Fantastic Four are lost in space. Now, if not Reed Richards, there are a ton of great minds in the MCU that we already know exist that could easily foot this bill, but somehow, one way or another now, have all systematically been ruled out. First of which, I thought this would definitely be the entrance of Riri Williams Ironheart. However, with it being a male-gendered character, she's ruled out. Obviously, the other two great minds, Bruce Banner, not really known as an aerospace engineer, and while James Rhodes seems a likely candidate, he surely would have met Monica at this point. They're probably friends and could help. He hasn't really been established as an aerospace engineer in the MCU either. So really, with all of these names in proximity, while they make a lot more sense than, say, a brand new character like Hank McCoy, they've definitely spent a lot of episodes and time now building this introduction. I thought we'd meet this character last episode. I was surprised they pushed it 1 episode out, which means whomever this is of more significance than just getting mentioned in passing. That's what leads us directly to Hank McCoy and how this would work perfectly for the future of the MCU. Now, for those of you thinking, but hey, Beast is a member of the X-Men, absolutely, and I have no doubt that that will happen in the MCU as well. But along his storied career, he's worked with many organizations and has been a S.W.O.R.D agent in the comics in the past. He has a ton of affiliation with that team. Also, his character Hank McCoy has 6 PhDs in varieties of fields, and that means that he could easily foot the bill here as an aerospace engineer. I also like the idea that he's just Hank McCoy, not quite Beast yet. While in the comics, he does get his powers from radiation at a nuclear power plant. They could have it where he ends up getting his powers right here and now, the same way it looks like it's happening for Monica Rambeau to turn into Photon. Now, interestingly enough, all the way back in July 12th of 2020, this is last summer, from friend of the channel and industry insider Mikey Sutton, we ran an exclusive explaining that a future series involving S.W.O.R.D would introduce Hank McCoy Beast as a member of their team and a S.W.O.R.D agent leading into the MCU before he ever became a member of the X-Men. Now, I'll make sure to link that video at the end of this, and if you're not familiar with Mikey Sutton, this is the guy who leaked that Spider-Man and Black Panther were going to show up all the way back in Civil War, but you don't have to believe in the leak to see all of the breadcrumbs now that lead to this, and this would be the perfect introduction of a character like that, given that we're all clamoring for the X-Men, who will have a lot of length and breadth in the MCU in other stories before he makes his way to that team. And that's the sort of interconnectedness and foresight storytelling that I expected we would get, seeing members of the future X-Men go through other storylines connected to other characters. When we finally meet Wolverine, it's not going to be X-Men 1, here are all the characters. We're going to get to see them in these other stories. I have my inklings that this is an important character, systematically ruling out all of the names we've seen before. And you know, if it gets to that scene and it's Rhodey that shows up or someone else, I wouldn't be surprised. But when you take a step back and think about the importance of the character going forward, someone like Hank McCoy deserves an awesome introduction. This could be the perfect way to seed him as early as they can into Phase 4, before we see him as a full-on S.W.O.R.D agent, before we see him as a full-on Blue Beast character, and before we eventually see him as a member of the X-Men. One final thought I'll leave you with is that I would not be surprised if throughout the entirety of this year, while we're watching these shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, we start meeting up with more and more of the X-Men characters than you'd think. I wouldn't be surprised at all, and I've been saying this at the channel for the last year. The fact that Disney and Marvel Studios have the foresight now to know that no matter what happens, they're going to get through whatever phases they want. It's much different than it was when they first started these Marvel movies. They never knew how far they would get. This gives them the opportunity, especially now with the rights for all the characters, to take as much time as they want building these characters. And what an awesome X-Men team it's going to be when we've been familiar with the characters that'll make up that team over the last, say, I don't know, 6 years by the time that we get there. It's going to be a minute. Rest assured, they're not introducing the Fantastic Four to double punch out the X-Men before we get another Avengers movie, but the characters that are going to make up that team, well, I would expect to start seeing them sooner than later. This seems like the perfect opportunity. Let me know all your thoughts down below, guys. Give me your theories. If you have a different name, who you think it is, I am all ears. And quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 800,000 subscribers, which we are headlong into, could easily hit by next month. We're also giving away Disney Plus subscriptions. We just announced a new winner yesterday. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be selected and announced at the end of the videos in the same segment we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the channel, of course, is to hit the notification bell with notifications turned on, and I'd appreciate it if you enjoyed today's video. Hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me over on Instagram and Twitter under IamFires and over on Spotify under AllFires. Guys, thanks for checking out the channel and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.